Good afternoon, everybody. This is a live emergency briefing as we have a tornado outbreak that's continuing across southwestern Louisiana. It began in southeastern Texas this morning, and an insane tornado, very compact, a violent tornado crossed Interstate 10 very close to the Orange, Texas area, even lofted an all-terrain vehicle high up into the air. And this tornado outbreak is continuing now with 3 active tornado warnings in southwestern Louisiana. That includes the DeQuincy area. You are under a tornado warning, and further south down near the I-10 corridor as well. So I'm going to break down the radar here right now with these tornadic storms. I'm also going to show you earlier the radar when that tornado crossed Interstate 10, lofting that all-terrain vehicle. And it looked like there was some kind of a jet, some type of a pressurized tank that was damaged inside of that tornado. So you see this massive jet of some type of product that was getting emitted by that pressurized tank. Maybe it was a porta-john. I'm not sure, but tornado outbreak continues across southwestern Louisiana with multiple tornado warnings in progress, and we are breaking it down right now. From DeQuincy down through the I-10 corridor. So this is happening right now. This outbreak is very much in progress. You are seeing it live right now on this live stream. I'm from Norman, where a tornado touched down about a mile east of here last night. Here you can see the tornado warning for the DeQuincy area. And it does look like it is trying to develop into more of a QLCS type of a regime with these embedded supercell storms. And here you can see this circulation just on the western side of DeQuincy. There's that circulation happening right now. DeQuincy, you want to be in your safe place, definitely out near the airport is where that circulation is happening. And one thing I've noticed with these storms is they develop this massive storm relative inflow zone, and then the occlusion ends up happening a little bit behind this gust front. So they're starting to evolve almost like a quasi-linear convective system type of a pattern, going a little bit further south. You can see this circulation. This is down to the south of Interstate 10. This was the old circulation, and it's behind this gust front. As you can see, this is a circulation that has weakened a little bit now, but when I can loop this, you can see that circulation that matured behind that gust front. Look at it right there, and now it's finally starting to die a little bit, but that was that circulation to the south of Interstate 10. Definitely evolving into a quasi-linear convective system. You can see this large gust front, and then you'll start to see that storm relative inflow zone expand to the east of it, and then it wraps up and then forms an occlusion just behind that gust front. So that's exactly what's been happening so far. Further south, this is down to the west of the Hackberry area. This is a location that we're all too familiar with because of Hurricane Laura down here. This is well to the halfway between Lone Pine and the Hackberry area there. But it looks like there is a tornado on the ground, or at least you can assume as such, along Highway 27, right about here. So that's where that tornado is located. We can look at the correlation coefficient. This dual pole product here can help you discriminate between raindrops and also the larger debris, larger reflectors that are out there. So this circulation right here to the west of Hackberry, you can see that comma head embedded within those deeper reflectivities. This large bulging gust front right there, almost like an effective RFD gust front that is approaching the Hackberry area. If you're in Hackberry right now, looking off to the west, you could definitely see that shelf cloud that is approaching Hackberry there. So this is where that circulation is located, right within this notch. That's the inflow notch, effective forward flank boundary right there, merging up with this massive bulging RFD. Right in the inflow notch is where that tornadic circulation is located. And here's the one that's closing in again on Interstate 10. We've already had a tornado cross Interstate 10 just to the west of Orange, very close to the Orange area. That was a wedge for the first circulation to the west of Bridge City, lifted off to the northeast. That one roped out. Then a new tornado touched down quickly, very compact circulation, crossed Interstate 10, lofted an all-terrain vehicle straight up into the air, lofted all different kinds of large trees, pressurized tanks getting lofted, jets and everything crossing Interstate 10. And then that one was heading toward the Deweyville area, crossed the Sabine River, and continued off to the northeast, producing a few more brief tornadoes on the Louisiana side. So now we're watching this one to the south of Sulphur. There's your hook-like appendage. This is Interstate 10, located right there, very close to the Lake Charles area. Lake Charles is included in that tornado warning now along Interstate 10. Here's that hook-like appendage that's happening right there. So it's official. Lake Charles is under that tornado warning, and this is the circulation here to the west of Lake Charles, heading off to the east. The Interstate 10 corridor, Golden Nugget, you're included in that circulation. And right now you can see that tornado just to the south of Chopique. I'm sure that's pronounced differently than I just pronounced it. Just to the west of the Carlos area, just to the south of West Dave Dugas Road as well. Here's Interstate 10, so it is to the south of Interstate 10. But this is a new circulation forming right here within that notch in the line. That's the new circulation that you're seeing right about there as well. So you need to keep an eye on this circulation. And let me make sure that I'm live really quick. I know how this goes. Got to make sure that I'm still live. Sometimes I can go live for like an hour and not even realize that my internet's down. And then I tune in and then realize that I never was live. But Lake Charles, you're in that tornado warning. Watching this live right now. Lake Charles just got issued. And here I'm tracking this circulation to the west-southwest of the Lake Charles area. Tornado outbreak in progress here across southwestern Louisiana. Lake Charles, you are included in that tornado warning. It is starting to transition into more of a quasi-linear convective system type of a situation. But I'm very skilled at breaking down these quasi-linear convective systems, picking out those embedded supercells as well. So I promise that you are in good hands here on this live stream. It's pretty much my only skill set is breaking down tornadoes on radar and visually. When I get within about 2 miles of the tornado, that could certainly begin to execute out here. So I'm looking for this Lake Charles radar image. Lake Charles, you do have that tornado warning. Quasi-linear convective system is approaching your location relatively fast right now. So new circulation forming on the leading edge of that gust front as well. So watching this very closely. Again, tornado warning is in effect for Lake Charles. Here you can see this radar image. This is a quasi-linear convective system. Dangerous, severe weather happening across southwestern Louisiana. We already had a large, violent tornado that crossed Interstate 10. That was on approach to the Deweyville area as well. We were tracking that circulation earlier. And that circulation was approaching Deweyville, lifted just on approach to the Sabine River, crossed the Sabine River, and continued into Louisiana, where it produced a couple more additional brief tornadoes as well on the Louisiana side. And so I'm breaking this down live. This is a live radar breakdown of this event. Whoa. And there is a tornado warning for Lake Charles. I'm monitoring this new circulation right now that is just ahead of the line. And that includes the Golden Nugget down there. Right along Interstate 10. These, so zooming in a little bit closer, let's break down some of this radar as this is arriving on the western side of Lake Charles. This is Interstate 10 right here. This is the Rose Bluff area. This is where that circulation is trying to tighten up. It's a new circulation within this line. You can definitely see the kink within this quasi-linear convective system right there. Just a little bit of an appendage trying to bulge out, pulling in. That storm relative inflow very close to the Interstate 10 corridor. Here's downtown Lake Charles, just off to the east. Here is your effective forward flank gradient on that reflectivity. And this is what we're watching. This kink in the line, this is where the tornado would be happening. And what will happen is these circulations will form just out ahead of the gust front, and then they'll occlude and tighten up into a tornado vortex just a little bit behind that lead gust front. That's when they'll tighten up, and that's when you see that debris signature. It'll evolve off to the east-northeast. And so right now, this is the area of interest to the west of Rose Bluff, Louisiana, moving right along the Interstate 10 corridor here toward Lake Charles. We are breaking it down live, and that's not the only tornado warning. Of course, there's another one just to the south of Lake Charles as this event is beginning to turn into this quasi-linear convective system. We can zoom out, see a massive severe thunderstorm warning that extends all the way to the east, including the Lake Arthur area, Jennings, out even getting close to the Lafayette even area off to the east. But this whole thing is going to continue to evolve. These renegades out ahead of it are struggling just a little bit, but you can still see that sickle shape, supercell bean-shaped structure there, showing you that the wind shear is very favorable out ahead of this line, north-south orientation of this convective line, so it's able to take full advantage of that wind shear out ahead of it as the individual updrafts here are getting forced a little bit further right than what their storm motion would be if they were just renegades in the open warm sector lifting off to the northeast, and that even enhances the wind shear even further. We did drop the tornado warning up near DeQuincy. You still have this comma head here, but it's just too far behind this gust front here now to wrap up another tornado back near DeQuincy. But I am watching this wavy QLCS pattern just to the south of Sulphur. You got a little renegade here now developing right over Lake Charles. Wish I could click out of it. There we go. This is a little renegade that's trying to develop here right over Lake Charles. It's got that inflow zone, cyclonically curved reflectivity pattern there as well, so it's pulling in a ton of inflow. This thing's probably going to get absorbed into this squall line and then help excite more tornado formation within that line. Here you can see this massive bulging effective RFD structure here, south side of the RFD, possible bounded weak echo region as well back behind that gust front. And that's where that tornado would be located. You can see this massive storm relative inflow zone. Well, actually, this would be these big westerlies surging out right here. And it is pulling in some inflow right around the apex of this big bulging RFD type structure, ripping southeasterlies right along the leading edge of this bulging RFD. And right there is where that tornado would be. So this thing is approaching Lake Charles Airport rapidly, just to the northeast of Burton Landing, just to the east of Moss Lake. That's where that circulation is located, heading off to the east-northeast toward the Lake Charles area there. Definitely a bulging RFD inflow here. This is that storm relative inflow zone that I was talking about. Red is wind away from the radar, so you have these big easterlies going up and up over top this bulging RFD here, trying to consolidate just to the northeast of Burton Landing. So that's where that circulation is trying to tighten up right now. East side of Moss Lake, northeast of Burton Landing. Just to the west of the airport, just passing the Calcasieu River there as well. So this is very close to the casino, I believe. That Golden Nugget. There's 210. I might be a little further to the northeast, up near Interstate, closer to Interstate 10. So that's that circulation, and you can see the old circulation still a little bit of a signature back behind the line. This is that old tornado well behind the gust front. But what will happen is these circulations will form out ahead of the gust front and then get pulled back behind it, and then that's when they finally tighten up. And it looks like this one's trying to tighten up and reinvigorate well behind the gust front out near Burton Landing. A little bit of an RFD pop, calm wind, storm relative inflow there on the north side of that. We're going to look at the dual pole correlation coefficient. I don't think that's more of a ground clutter type of an artifact, so I'm not really seeing much in the way of debris getting lofted by this tornadic situation as it's approaching Lake Charles. But look at this inflow pipe here, this big streamer coming in here. You have inflow just ripping in, inflow coming in here from the north, vorticity, streamwise vorticity streaming in from the north as well here. And so it is possible to get this whole thing just causing tornadic-like damage over a large area. This large elevated mesocyclone and QLCS circulation causing damaging winds down to the south within this RFD zone as well there. So definitely a dangerous situation that is approaching Lake Charles. There's the airport downstream. There's that notch that we're talking about within definitely highly visible within the velocity imagery here. That's where that tornado would be located. Just to the northeast of Moss Lake, southeast of Vincent Landing, to the west of Lake Charles. That's where that circulation is located. We are watching it live right here. Radar breakdown, tornado outbreak happening. And it was a pretty crazy event earlier as that circulation crossed Interstate 10 near the Orange, Texas area earlier today, near Stark. So just to the west of Orange, Texas is where that tornadic circulation crossed Interstate 10. Very compact vortex, lofted an all-terrain vehicle. All different kinds of complexities visible within that tornado as a jet-like vortex all the way down to the ground. Big time vertical motion as well as it crossed Interstate 10 there. Rotational velocities wedged to the west of Bridge City, crossed Interstate 10, and then continued off to the northeast. So you're watching it here. This live breakdown of this tornado warning coming into Lake Charles. Big inflow notch into this tornadic circulation there. The inflow is coming in around the east side of this RFD structure. Big gust front about to slam Lake Charles Airport right here. There's the airport. Big gust front coming in. That inflow wrapping all the way around that circulation, back into that circulation between Burton Landing and the airport, approaching 384 here. So kind of some complexities happening here. You can definitely see how the atmosphere behaves as a fluid, that's for sure. Okay, I'm done now looking at the, then seeing what the reflectivity DBZ is. I can't seem to get out of this window now. Come on. Pain in the ass. So we'll just use reflectivity here for now until I can get out of that product. But just to the southwest side of Lake Charles here, this is definitely the area of interest. Right here, approaching the airport, very large gust front has just blown through here, the Lake Charles Airport area. Vincent Landing, that circulation has passed. Really this area out near 384 is the area of interest. And we can shift over to the correlation coefficient. Looking for debris. Maybe back here on the nose of that. And there it is. There's that circulation right now. We finally found it. That is that tornado south of the Gray Plantation Golf Course. You can definitely see that cyclonic spin to that circulation. It's right there. Southwest side of Gray Plantation Golf Course, approaching 384 here, moving east-northeast. So this is going to be very close to Gauthier Road. Tank Farm Road right now, moving due east, heading straight for the airport. So here is that circulation right here behind that gust front. The gust front has come through Lake Charles Airport, but the monster is lurking behind that gust front. It's back behind here near Highway 384. That's one thing I've noticed, and this is the case with many QLCS patterns, setups like this, is usually the gust front will surge out, and then back behind it a little ways is where you get that tornado. So you can still see the inflow coming along this leading edge of the gust front. The new circulation will spin up either here or on the nose of that circulation, very close to the airport. I was thinking about flying into Lake Charles to chase this setup today. Should have, and I'd be on the ground trying to intercept this tornado closing in on Highway 384. Still pulling an inflow, and then the circulation will tighten up back behind that line. And I think there's a debris ball right there. So I do believe that that is a tornado here. Tank Farm Road, approaching the airport here of Lake Charles. That's your debris ball, I believe. It's right where you'd expect it, right where that couplet's located. So that is a tornado that's in progress on Tank Farm Road, heading off to the east toward Lake Charles Airport. The thing is buried in the rain back here to the west of the airport. But you can see this gust front that has the nose of the gust front has passed through the airport, but it's still pulling in this inflow back to that circulation. So if you're in Lake Charles Airport, you want to take cover because you got a tornado that's approaching. There you can see it behind the line. It's kind of meandering. It jumped a little bit to the east-southeast. Damaging winds, debris getting lofted by that circulation. Hard to see with the untrained eye, but there it is now, closing in on the airport. Just jump to the east. That's it right there. It's about to hit the airport, very close to the radar. It is kind of hard sometimes to see these tornadic circulations, but there you can see the debris signature there, 384, closing in on the airport. So we do have a confirmed, radar-confirmed circulation here, closing in on the airport. You are live. Right now, we are live. This is happening right here. breaking down this radar. Gizmo is back at my mom's place right now. She's doing good. She is legendary. That's good. Legendary storm chaser. That's that correlation drop associated with this tornado right here that is approaching Lake Charles. It probably spun up that debris as it was crossing 384. I'm not sure if that tornado is still in progress, but it still does show that strong rotation. The RFD pop right there, annotating it. That's your tornado, and it is heading west to east toward Lake Charles Airport. That's your circulation. Confirmed tornado happening right now. About to hit Lake Charles Airport. But there's that circulation coming into the west side of Lake Charles, right there. Strong rotation. There you can see that circulation happening right now. Looking at it. Embedded, completely embedded within the rain. The gust front is blown by Lake Charles. But we are watching that area a little bit behind the line for tornado potential. And that circulation now right over Lake Charles Airport. So Lake Charles is definitely getting some big time wind right now. But a new tornado touching down just to the north of the airport up here near Ham Reed Road, it appears. That's the circulation that could develop right along the leading edge of that gust front. Our other circulation we are watching very close to the airport right now as well. Main gust front has pushed off to the east of the airport, but you're watching these monsters that are lurking back behind that circulation. And it looks like another tornado may be about to touch down just to the north of the airport. It's possible some debris getting lofted there near Ham Reed Road. Potentially some fall colors happening right there. That's where that circulation is located. Correlation drop. That would be just to the northwest of Lake Charles. Probably a very weak circulation or tornado. They're lofting some fall colors, but it is about to head through downtown Lake Charles area. So we've got these active tornado warnings that we are tracking out here in Lake Charles. There you can see this gust front that has surged off to the east, but still some tornadic circulations remain back behind this gust front. So they'll kind of wrap up along the leading edge of the gust front and get pulled back behind, and then they'll produce tornadoes, and you can kind of even see this little embedded hook or supercell structure or bounded weak echo region there. And that's it. That's that bounded weak echo region, the inflow into this circulation on the north side there of Lake Charles. And there it's bulged out, and you can see that comma head just on the north side of the radar. That RFD bulge right here on the north side of Lake Charles, University Place. You're in the inflow zone there. Is that McNeese State, I believe? Located right at that location, just south of I-210 there. But that's where that tornado is located, just east of Lake Street. RFD bulging out on the north side of Lake Charles. University Place, you're in that storm relative inflow zone there, kind of a weak echo region to the north of that airport. And then there's that bulging RFD structure. And this is the main gust front. It's kind of out into this location, but it still pulls inflow back in. Basically, you'll get a developing tornado on the leading edge of this gust front. It'll rip it back inside. It'll develop a tornado, occlude back behind the gust front a little bit. And you can even see that comma head back there. Little weak echo region showing you where that inflow is going into that circulation. Just to the north side of Lake Charles. We can loop it again here. And look at that thing, how it jumped up. Jumped back up. It was kind of a wobbler of a circulation in there. And now looks like it's lost its identity a bit, passing just to the north of the Lake Charles Airport. But this tornado outbreak continues out here. We had that tornado that crossed Interstate 10 just to the west of Orange near Pinehurst area out here, causing a lot of damage. Very compact tornado, dangerous tornado there. And now we're shifting to more of a QLCS type of a regime. You have this very large severe thunderstorm warning there. Going to radar reflectivity. Here you can see that bulge. You still have a couple tornado warnings around the Lake Charles area in the vicinity of the Golden Nugget. You've got a couple of these renegades that are having difficulty maturing, but you can tell that there's very favorable wind shear in there because of the shape and structure of these supercell storms. Very favorable wind shear out ahead of this. And this circulation is definitely, this bow echo is bulging out here, trying to continue to tighten up a circulation on the north side of this mesoscale bulge up near Interstate 10, up near Gooseport. That's an area that you need to watch to spin up a QLCS tornado to the north of Interstate 10 out there. But you do have this big bulging RFD. The airport, you're in the clear now, getting mainly westerlies and driving rain back behind some of those lead circulations. Your weak echo region here in your Greenwich Village, in between McNeese State and Greenwich Village there, south of I-210. That's the area that we're watching right now. And possible circulation developing up near Greenwich Village. A new circulation also trying to develop up near Gooseport. Got to keep an eye on that as well. So it is transitioning to more of a QLCS type of an event here. Quasi-linear convective system is what that stands for. And that severe thunderstorm warning goes all the way through the Crowley area, Jennings, Lake Arthur. These are the area where we chased Hurricane Delta last year. That's coming up on Storm Rising this Sunday, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. We debut the Surginators out there as well during Hurricane Zeta and Delta. And here you can see that bulging RFD type structure turning in rapidly into more of a QLCS type of a pattern. But thank you everybody for tuning in to this live weather briefing here. Southwestern Louisiana, severe weather outbreak transitioning to more of a QLCS type of a pattern, but we are breaking it down here live. Team Dominator mobile headquarters. Well, looks like we do have QLCS pattern pushing off to the east. We are breaking it down here live. I've already broken down some of the models here as this system's heading off to the east, and definitely am seeing this QLCS type of a pattern that's going to evolve as this pushes off to the east. There's the new severe thunderstorm warning all the way east, now includes the Lafayette region there, but this is definitely shifting to a straight line wind event. We do need to watch for the potential of renegade storms to develop out ahead of this feature again, but I think that the main event played out here across far southeastern Texas into southwestern Louisiana. We already had some of those strong, violent tornadoes. Photographs were incredibly favorable for tornadoes as well during this setup. We can look at the environmental conditions a little bit here as well. Let me shift on over to the internet using my armored laptop here. Storm chasing laptop, the Dell laptop. It's my main go-to laptop now that I use for storm chasing and for these live weather briefings on the road. Massive tornado watch. Well, let's take a look now at the environmental conditions out here, out ahead of the storm, using the RAP analysis as this quasi-linear convective system pushes off to the east. Still some active tornado warnings in the Lake Charles area. That includes the Golden Nugget. McNeese State area, we've been tracking down some of these tornadic circulations. All right, I got the environment here for you. Here it comes. Yeah, there it is. Yep. Yep, there it is. So there you can see that axis of instability there, basically like a little bit of a triangle nosing up into central Louisiana, greater instability just offshore over the open Gulf of Mexico, advancing convective line, punching into those southeasterly winds there. And it's those southeasterly winds that are helping to create these big looping hodographs, very favorable hodographs for tornadic activity. And here you can see the storm relative helicity, 200 to 300 down there. However, that strongest helicity is starting to eject into central Louisiana. It's starting to move up a little bit north of that greater instability that is located over the open Gulf of Mexico. So you can see this greater storm relative helicity or low-level shear, effective SRH, lifting off to the northeast. In general, you need greater than about 150 to get tornadoes, but Then again, the wrap was showing about 100 to 125 0 to 1 kilometers shear, and you had that strong, violent, large tornado up near Purdon, Missouri just a couple of days ago. So each model is different. Each is associated with their own biases, but in general, what the wrap is showing is an ejection of this low-level shear into central Louisiana and a little bit of a lesser wind shear further south. And I think that's why we're starting to see this transition into more of a QLCS or more of a linear configuration as that front is surging out into this environment. But when you ever get a transition into a linear mode like this, it can kind of force a more due easterly storm motion, which can even generate more storm relative helicity than would be available for this normal southwest to northeast type of a storm motion. And that's why I think that you're forcing a lot of those tornado warnings right now within that convective line. So let's step forward in time here with this wrap model. Let's go out to 21Z. So this is 4 p.m. Central Time. And notice how that shear ejects even more up into northeastern Louisiana, southwestern Mississippi. You get a couple renegades that develop down near the Houma to New Orleans area, down into southeastern Louisiana. But the wind shear ejects northeast of those. So I'm wondering if the tornado potential might have maximized during the morning hours, late morning hours, southeastern Texas into southwestern Louisiana. And then they might wane a little bit with those new renegades that are going to form over southeastern Louisiana. But this shows you that wind shear ejecting with time to the northeast and northeast of that main instability axis. So it does look to me like this system peaked during the mid to late morning hours, southeastern Texas into southwestern Louisiana there certainly. And I do think that this event could be could be peaked. Probably already peaked. So this is the 12ZHRRR that had a good handle on that initial storm. Kind of these monsters here lifting to the north near the Beaumont, Port Arthur area, down there near Interstate 10. This is the main show down here, southeastern Texas into southwestern Louisiana, through the late morning toward midday. And look at that monster evolve. That's when it produced its biggest tornado, crossing Interstate 10, then on approach to the Sabine River, and then as it lifted up into southwestern Louisiana there. And then the HRRR, which does a pretty good job when the moisture is so deep that it's basically impossible to overmix the moisture. It does a pretty good job, and it definitely shows this evolution into more of a quasi-linear convective system. It does show the potential for renegades to develop over southeastern Louisiana late afternoon. That's like 4 or 5 p.m. down here. Some of those could threaten the New Orleans area, Baton Rouge certainly, down toward Houma, areas that sadly were ravaged by Hurricane Ida. I think that you're going to have another tornado threat here across southeastern Louisiana as those are lifting off to the north and east. Here you can see some of those supercell storms near Lake Pontchartrain, southeastern Louisiana, moving into southern Mississippi as well. But the wrap shows that most of that wind shear ejects a little bit north of these renegades. So it is possible that these renegades that are going to impact the New Orleans area 4, 5, 6 p.m., that these things may start to lose some of their tornado threat as they push off to the east. But definitely plan for tornado potential across southeastern Louisiana, even southern Mississippi as you get closer to 6 to 7 p.m. Gulfport, Biloxi could have landfalling waterspouts coming ashore there. Southern Mississippi, eventually into southern Alabama as well. There you can see this convective line, renegades moving through the area. This is at 7 p.m. as these renegades are moving into southern Mississippi. There's that QLCS line pushing in as well. But according to the wrap, the wind shear isn't quite as good for those renegades as it was a little bit earlier. But let's take a look at the 0 to 1 kilometer shear just to be sure. And boy, it does look like there's still 250 to 300 0 to 1 kilometer shear down at the tail end of this line. Picking just a spot sounding down there just north of Lake Pontchartrain shows a very favorable sounding for tornadoes. Thermodynamics are a little bit more in question down there, a little bit worked over by this time. But boy, with that hodograph, that is very favorable for tornado potential. Let me take my head away from that hodograph really quick, and there you see it right in the upper northeast part of that screen. That is a textbook curved hodograph that shows you the wind shear supportive of tornadoes. And As I'm doing this, we do have a new tornado warning. I'm going to show you this right now. So the Lake Charles tornado warning has been allowed to expire. Still, though, we have this massive yellow box, massive severe thunderstorm warning all the way from Lake Charles to Lafayette, including the Interstate 10 corridor. But here is this new tornado warning. Further north, southwest of the Highway 26 corridor, west of Dry Creek here, a bit of a supercell structure, bulging RFD. You can definitely see this supercell structure here embedded within this line. And let's look a little bit closer and see what that velocity looks like. And it definitely can see the strong RFD structure. So even if this doesn't have a tornado here, definitely has a very bulging RFD and could certainly have damaging, destructive winds that could be even equivalent to a tornado threat. So somewhere within this bulging RFD, it could very easily spin up into a tornado, lifting off to the northeast there, well to the southwest of Alexandria. But this storm to the southwest of Highway 26 is a concern here west of the Dry Creek area. That's a new tornado warning. Not much in the way of velocity right now, just yet, but we'll see if we have a correlation coefficient drop. Maybe right there, but I don't think that's, I'm pretty sure that's a radar artifact. Yes, that's a radar artifact. I don't think that is a tornado right there, even though you're starting to get a little bit of those more robust and concentrated area of debris fall or a correlation drop near the Dry Creek area. But still, if you're in Dry Creek, Louisiana, take shelter because there is a tornado warning that's in place and very strong damaging winds, and it is possible that tornado could happen within the resolution of the radar. Looking off to the south, those tornado warnings down near Lake Charles have expired. This thing is pushing off to the east, this quasi-linear convective system. Bulging RFD. You got to watch this area. These little notches to the north of these bulging bows, or almost look like large RFDs, but you got to watch these notches for the formation of new tornadoes, and then they get pulled down behind that gust front. Will produce again. You've got a little comma head there right over Interstate 10, causing likely some destructive winds out there on the busy, dangerous Interstate 10. Often you get crazy hydroplaning conditions out there on Interstate 10 with ponding on the roadways and such. But there's your massive severe thunderstorm warning. Tornado warning on the north side up here with this one, but it doesn't have incredibly strong velocity on it. I wonder if that is a little north of that warm frontal zone or sufficient surface-based instability to get those tornadoes. But here you can see this bulging bow out here, watching the inflow notch, the notch between these two areas. That's where you want to watch for tornado formation, right in there. But also here on Interstate 10, you can see even behind this line, this little comma head here. The entire life cycle of this QLCS will form these tornadoes back behind the line. You get this big bulging gust front, and then the tornado ends up forming way back behind it. But it is looking a little bit less organized. I am watching this area here for renegades out near Lake Arthur, southeast of Jennings. If any of these are able to mature as they lift off to the north toward the Eunice area, further north of that. Again, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing some of these names down here. I've learned how to pronounce many of them from chasing all these hurricanes over the years and tornado setups for 20 years down here in the central Gulf Coast region, but still there are always ones that surprise. And then you forget sometimes. Terrebonne Parish off to the east, for some reason I thought it was Terrebonne, and then I remembered it was Terrebonne again, and my brain just kind of shifts all around. But I definitely try to keep track of the pronunciations of all the local places that I cover and chase. So Elizabeth, Louisiana, you're included in that tornado warning here. It's radar indicated, but that's where that circulation would be located. Maybe the hint of a little bounded weak echo region or a comma head down here. Little RFD structure here evident within that reflectivity pattern. So if there is a tornado, it would be right in that location, just near the Dry Creek area, up in there. But I'm not seeing much in the way of rotation with that storm right now off to the north. And further south, you got damaging winds here, moving along the Interstate 10 corridor. Remnants of our own old tornadic circulation back near Interstate 10 is harmless now, too far behind the gust front. But this gust front continues to bulge out here along Interstate 10 near the Iowa area. So probably getting driving rain, blinding rain near Interstate 10 near Iowa. That circulation further off to the west. Some of these renegades here trying to go up off to the east. Keeping a close eye on those as well. If these do mature, they could also develop a tornado threat. But overall, this does look to be getting just a little bit messier with time, more of a QLCS type of a regime. But it doesn't mean that it can't produce tornadoes. And we are live here. Tornado watches in effect to the east as well throughout this system as it continues to push off to the east. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in to my weather report. I should have driven all night last night and got down to southwestern Louisiana, and I would have seen that tornado near Beaumont. My plan was to chase all the events every single day out here, but instead I probably should have not chased yesterday in western Oklahoma and then just blasted down to Louisiana and waited for this setup. But I failed to make that decision, unfortunately. But thinking about starting a sabbatical coming up here, but I'm going to chase every single one of these setups, do these live briefings, launching Storm Chase EDU as well during this winter, an educational platform for storm chasing, storm structure, identifying storm structure. But I'm going big in 2022. I promise you that. We're going to be having the Dominator 3 back out in the field. We'll be launching rockets, deploying probes, subsonics, gravitrons, flying racing drones around the tornado, maybe Twister 2, all different types of things. I am live right now. I can even show you a newspaper if you want to see it with that date on there, but I don't have a newspaper in here. Not chasing today. Should be chasing. Probably should have skipped yesterday and then coming down to southern Louisiana. But instead, I'm here in Norman, slinging these live weather briefings. Going to edit some Flex Seal videos as well. But definitely planning on going big in 2022. Streaming multi-platform live of our entire science mission. Everybody in the field, drone racing out there, ground-based probes, live streaming sensors, multi-platform live stream. So instead of focusing on TV as much, we got to focus on the present and the future, which is going to be live streams, streams to multi-platform. True reality television just streamed with a simple cell phone, smartphones, multi-platform smartphones. I'm going to have someone follow us around with this big unit that has a multi-platform stream on it so that you can see everything play out in real time. Educational, science-based, intensity. I don't think so. You might get a little bit of rain tomorrow, maybe some squalls type of situation. Definitely some weather that's probably going to decrease your enjoyment, though, of leaf peeping season, which is hitting peak across the southern Appalachians. And I know that people don't really like my leaf peeper videos as much, but I do love leaf peeping. I love all aspects of nature, in fact. So going back to this tornado event, here is the tornado warning off to the north. It's going to be heading in the general direction of the Elizabeth area, Highway 26 here. Let's take a look at velocity, see if we can see any rotational signatures within this tornado warning. Not really seeing much in the way of a circulation, but I am seeing probably a damaging windbag event here that's approaching Highway 26 to the northwest of Cherry Grove, maybe up toward Grant, 10-mile areas, Reeds, Elizabeth. Looks like Reeds is spelled wrong. Should be 2 E's. That's how you spell Reed correctly. And there you can see this tornado warning near Highway 26 to the west of Cherry Grove, headed northeast. Dido, Elizabeth, Reeds need to be in your safe place, but I'm not seeing much in the way of rotation in there. Looking for a correlation drop. Not much either in terms of debris or fall colors getting lofted very high up by those storms either. But here is that large severe thunderstorm warning that we're tracking down in Louisiana. We've had a couple tornado warnings a little bit further north. And I'm watching these renegades out near the Crawley area, just east of Lake Arthur, Morse. These are starting to mature a little bit, and we can look at echo tops to see just how strong those updrafts are. and you want to monitor trends in those echotops. And these are definitely not very mature storms, probably not even storms at all right now, or even producing any lightning. But you could definitely see some of these higher tops out near the Iowa area. These are associated with some severe weather. Yeah, I believe that this ecotop is sheared downstream from this tornado warning. Tornado warning here and ecotops downstream. But let's look at reflectivity to confirm that. That's probably just a new updraft associated with the kink here. And the actual tornado warning's way up here now. But this is not a tornadic situation there. Heed those warnings, though. Who am I to say you should stop taking shelter? I think, though, that the most dangerous portion of the storm is probably right here near the Harmony area. That inflow isn't quite reaching back in there far enough, but it looks like it's trying to spin back behind that gust front, back behind this notch right here, and try to form a tornado to the northwest of Harmony. Southwest of Simmons Settlement. Here is Highway 126 there. So this is the area that I'd be watching out for another tornado, and it's right in the notch. You got to watch these notches. That's where you want to launch rockets. If you're trying to launch rockets into tornadoes, you want to be in that inflow notch just downstream, launch the probe inside, and then it'll be carried up within that tornadic circulation, acting as a Lagrangian probe, parachute probe, moving along with the wind. And in that case, then your high resolution GPS data is synonymous with basically the wind speed of the tornado if your probe is sufficiently lightweight. But this is that notch that we're watching right here, southwest of the Midi area, between State Route 26 and State Route 190. That's the area that we're watching for new development of tornado potential. And you can see that the echotops maximize right near where those tornadoes would form. So kind of in those notchy areas, that's where the convection will develop. It'll go up in the atmosphere, excite a vortex along the cyclonically curved area of that bulge. And then that vortex will propagate up along that RFD gust front. And then when it gets underneath this main updraft, it gets stretched into the vertical and then can tighten into a tornado. Maybe this renegade down near Guidan could be trying to intensify, but I'm not seeing anything with these echotops blowing up. But they do have good structure, good early supercell structure, these bean shapes up here near the I-10 corridor. Once they start getting that classic bean shape, that's when there are supercell storms. But these are still relatively low top storms, but you got to watch out for these renegades. And it's not surprising that they're forming at the same latitude as the apex of that bulging bow echo there. The apex right about there, I would say. But they're about roughly the same latitude as that bow, probably some type of a meso-low feature there, something happening. And we did drop that tornado warning finally to the north near Highway 26. You can kind of see that these are elevated supercells with these really elongated appendages, these kind of inflow streamers that are anticyclonically curved. And then the main forward flank downdraft to the north of Fullerton there. They're trying to dig down to that warmer air, but they just can't. They're trying to extend a straw down into that warmer air and then pull that warm, humid air back to the northwest, but it just can't make it. So watching these renegades, but it does look like our event is breathing a little bit. Sometimes you'll kind of see these events breathe in and breathe out. They'll ramp up, everything will go tornado warned at once, and then they'll breathe out again, and all the tornado warnings will be allowed to expire, and then they'll ramp up again, and different modes will have tornado warnings that will kind of evolve from north to south throughout these large warm sectors. We saw that happen in Kansas City when you had the tornado warnings go up in the northern mode, and then the second mode tried to develop tornado potential. It didn't. It did produce that weak tornado down near the Sedalia area, but then the southeast mode went completely nuts. Southeastern Missouri into southwestern Illinois, a couple of strong, violent tornadoes down there, a couple of EF3s as well. So definitely a very active second season, and all of this is largely because of the cold water in the northeastern Pacific. And I can pull that up right now and show you what that cold water looks like. SST Pacific. There it is. Wow. The OSPO site is a great one to look at these sea surface temperatures as they evolve. Trying to look for the entire Pacific Ocean here. Let me go back a little bit. So there's a thing in the tropical Pacific that's called the PDO horseshoe, a Pacific Decadal Oscillation, and it's definitely connected to the to La Nina through the action of Kelvin waves that happen basically just beneath the surface of the ocean. Looking for these SST anomalies really quick. So the SST anomaly patterns like La Nina, El Nino that happen in the tropical Pacific, basically those anomalies are spread through the rest of the basin around the northeastern periphery of that basin. And then they go around in a horseshoe pattern around the periphery of that basin. And I want to show you what it looks like right now. Where in the hell? Stand by. Still looking for it. Just had it on here. There we go. Okay, so let me show you the PDO horseshoe. And, you know, what do I know about Pacific sea surface temperature patterns? I did my PhD on it, but what do I know? So here is the internet showing you the sea surface temperature anomalies right now. So the blue here is below normal, relatively cooler conditions. The blue here's La Nina dominating across the tropical belt of the Pacific. Here's the date line. So Kelvin waves, which are basically waves that are trapped by a boundary, they form in fluids like the air or the ocean, and they move a lot slower in the ocean. But once you get a La Nina like this in year one, these cold anomalies will start to propagate around the eastern periphery of this basin of the ocean and eventually arriving into the Gulf of Alaska, the far northeastern Pacific up there with that cold water, propagating all the way around. And I believe that the key to severe weather is not really La Nina, but the key is to have this cold water infuse the PDO horseshoe. It's a horseshoe that's kind of oriented on the west to east oriented belt there. Because when you get the cold water infusing this PDO horseshoe, then it encourages a consolidated jet across the northern Pacific. But because of this cold water, it also likes to encourage a western U.S. trough. And I think that that's why we're getting this active second season during the fall, is because of the cold water within this PDO horseshoe encapsulating the warmer water within the positive NPO, or the North Pacific Oscillation. PDO stands for Pacific Decadal Oscillation. And that's why I believe that these year two La Ninas are big for severe weather, whereas year one La Ninas, sometimes they're big, sometimes they're not. It depends on if the preceding year was neutral or El Nino. Because when you get warm water down here in the tropical Pacific, then through Kelvin wave action, it spreads relatively warm water around the periphery here and around that PDO horseshoe. And sometimes that can encapsulate a negative NPO. And that's the pattern that we've had these last 3 years. And that's why we've had weird severe weather, weird patterns. Tornado Alley has not been very active as well, and that's what we're seeing with this severe weather. And I think that this is a sign of things to come for spring of 2022, and that's when we're going to be going big. Maybe we'll be working for Twister 2, filming that. I doubt Storm Rising is going to be renewed just because it's not really getting promoted. It's not getting very good ratings out there. For the most part, people don't even know that it's airing. And I think that's one of the most important parts of doing a show, is if you're going to do a show, you might as well promote it and let people know that it's airing. And also, I do wonder if hurricanes are a difficult thing to cover unless you can be smart about it. Hurricanes are relatively stationary, whereas tornadoes are very mobile, rapidly changing. You're in a vehicle driving around after these tornadoes, chasing after them. It's constantly moving, constant action. I think you need multiple teams kind of competing toward a scientific goal out there. You can bounce around, have a team of females out there dominating as well. Have a team of old people like me, still trying to hang on, but maybe don't have enough gas in the tank. And I think that that would work out very well as a tornado chasing show. Some discussions of how it fits in within the fabric of climate. but really have it pure focused on just hauling ass, storm chasing out there, doing science, dominating like that, I think is very important. But there you can see that instability axis punching into central Louisiana there. And we do still have that tornado watch that's in effect as well through the afternoon. Here you can see those tornado watches. There's even a tornado watch all the way up into the Shreveport area. I don't think that's going to materialize. But here's that QLCS pattern right in the middle of that tornado watch, moving off to the east. Those tornado watches are going to be added for the New Orleans area as well. Southeastern Louisiana as we go into the late afternoon, about 4, 5, 6 p.m. is when there could be some renegades coming out of southeastern Louisiana as well. And tomorrow, severe weather possibly around the eastern Carolinas down into Florida. Certainly could happen down there. Pretty decent tornado threat as well across northern Florida. That includes Tallahassee as well down there, eastern Carolinas, coastal Carolina as well. So let's go back to the radar and see what we have happening. There's the radar, and we do still have the severe thunderstorm warnings. We have this little gyre up near Fenton that's trying to happen, but the good news is that the tornado warnings have been allowed to expire, and you just have from Natchitoches all the way down to in between Lake Charles and Lafayette, all the way down to the Gulf Coast, is that large severe thunderstorm warning. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in to my weather breakdown here, breaking down that tornado threat in Louisiana. I'll keep a very close eye on it and will go live as needed if this does materialize once again. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into my weather report. I'll be back out in the field next time.